Okay, let's talk about something that might sound a little crazy at first. It's a concept that pretty much goes against everything we're ever taught about achieving our goals. But I promise you, getting this one idea could completely change your relationship with money, and honestly, your future, for the better. It's all about winning the money game by, well, changing how you play it.
Oh, you know that feeling, right? That little jolt you get when you open your account, see the numbers are down, and your stomach just drops. Your heart starts pounding a little, and that little voice of panic starts whispering in your ear. I want you to know, right now, that feeling doesn't make you weak. It just makes you human. Our brains are literally wired to hate losing. But your success, your real success, depends entirely on what you do in that moment after the panic hits.
And here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you that all that stress, that constant checking, that emotional roller coaster you ride with every market dip, what if that is the very thing holding you back? Now, this isn't about apathy. It's not about not caring at all. It's actually something way more powerful. It's about learning to create a little emotional space so you can think clearly when everyone else is freaking out. Now, to really show you what I mean, I'm not going to throw a bunch of boring charts at you. Our brains love stories, so we're going to look at the real lives of two very different men. Their stories are incredible because they prove, beyond a doubt, that when it comes to money, how you behave is so much more important than how much you know. So let's meet our two characters. On paper, you couldn't find two more different people. One of them had every single advantage you could possibly imagine. The other, well, he just lived a quiet, ordinary life. If you had to put money on who would end up a multimillionaire, the choice would seem pretty obvious, right? But things aren't always what they seem. So this is Ronald Reed. He was a guy from rural Vermont. For 25 years, he fixed cars at a gas station. After that, he spent another 17 years sweeping floors as a janitor at J.C. Penney. He was a nice guy, worked hard, but he was completely invisible to the world of big money and high finance. Just a simple, routine life. And then, on the complete other side of the universe, we have Richard Fuscone. This man had the ultimate pedigree for financial success. I mean, an MBA from Harvard, a top-level executive job at Merrill Lynch. He was so successful he retired in his 40s. He was the poster boy for Wall Street success. Okay, let's just stop and look at them side by side. The janitor from Vermont, the Harvard MBA from Connecticut. Now be honest with yourself for a second. If you were placing a bet back then, who would you have bet on? We all would have put our money on Richard Fuscone. The world saw his fancy degree, his big job, his lavish lifestyle, and just assumed he knew how to win the game. But what we forget is that true wealth is often what you don't see. So let's start with Ronald Reed's story because it's just a masterclass in how real, lasting wealth is built. It's a quiet story, a story that happened in the background while nobody was paying attention. And you know what? That was his secret weapon. Ronald Reed never made a big salary. And as his fortune grew, guess what? His life didn't change at all. He bought a little 2-bedroom house when he was 38 and lived in that same house for the rest of his life. He drove a used Toyota Yaris. His big hobby was chopping firewood. He was the classic millionaire next door that you would never, ever suspect. See, he wasn't trying to look rich. He was just quietly getting rich. Then, in 2014, Ronald passed away at 92 years old. And when his will was made public, this quiet, humble man suddenly became the biggest news story his town had ever seen. His friends, his family, nobody could believe it. Because it turned out, this ordinary janitor was hiding an absolutely extraordinary secret. He had a fortune of $8 million. And you know what the most incredible part is? He left most of it to his local hospital and the town library. This man, who spent his life sweeping floors and fixing cars, became one of the biggest philanthropists his town had ever known. Just wow. So the $8 million question. How in the world did he do it? You're probably thinking, lottery ticket, secret inheritance. Nope. It was shockingly simple. He just did 3 things. He saved what he could from his small paychecks. He invested that money consistently into solid, well-known companies. And then, and this is the hardest part for most of us, he just waited. He let that money sit and grow and work its magic for decades. And right there, that's his true superpower. It wasn't that he was a genius at math or had some secret formula. It was his temperament. It was his incredible, unwavering patience. He was totally detached from the day-to-day drama of the stock market, from all the scary headlines that are designed to make you panic sell.
He was just committed to his simple, boring process. Save, invest, and wait. That's it. Okay, so now let's flip the coin and look at Richard Fuscone's story. Remember, he started from the very top with every advantage imaginable, but his story took well, a very different turn. It's a huge warning about the danger of needing to look rich.
So, Richard Fiscone had it all: the career, the prestige, all the shiny objects that scream success. But he got caught in that trap of needing everyone to see how wealthy he was. In the 2000s, he borrowed a ton of money to expand his mansion into this palace. We're talking 11 bathrooms, 2 pools, 7 garages. His monthly upkeep alone was over $90,000. He wasn't just living large, he was living on the edge.
And then 2008 happened, and his whole world just imploded. All his money was tied up in things he couldn't sell quickly, like a giant, over-the-top mansion, and his income dried up. That combination of massive debt and no cash was a total disaster. The brilliant guy from Harvard, the man at the top of the mountain, he went bankrupt. His homes were sold off at auction for pennies on the dollar. And that's the whole paradox, right there in one sentence. It really forces us to think about what wealth even is. Is it the fancy car, the big house, or is it the money you haven't spent, the assets that are quietly working for you in the background? Richard Fuscone played the game of looking rich. Ronald Read played the game of being wealthy, and they are two completely different games. What these stories prove so powerfully is that your financial success has almost nothing to do with how smart you are. It has everything to do with how you behave. It's not about complex spreadsheets, it's about managing your own psychology. It's about getting a handle on those very human feelings of fear, greed, and impatience that can trip up even the smartest people. So let's be really clear about what detachment means here. It is not apathy. You still care deeply about your long-term goals. What it means is that you stop letting your self-worth get tied up in what your account balance is on any random Tuesday. Ronald Read's identity was hardworking janitor. He didn't need his stocks to go up to feel good about himself. Richard Fuscone's identity, it seems, was wrapped up in successful rich guy, and he needed the giant house to prove it. And that made him incredibly fragile. Okay, so the stories are fascinating, and we get the idea. But what really matters is how we can take this paradox of detachment and actually use it in our own lives. How do we become more like Ronald and less like Richard? It really breaks down into a simple 3-part system. First, you have to actively detach from that emotional roller coaster. That means you stop checking your portfolio every 5 minutes. You turn off the scary financial news. Second, you attach yourself to boring consistency. Automate everything. Have your savings and investments happen automatically, in the background. And third, you make your wealth invisible, mostly to yourself. Put your long-term investments in an account you don't look at all the time. The best wealth is the money you forget you even have. And here's the beautiful truth at the heart of all this. The moment you stop needing your money to give you a thrill or to make you feel important or to prove something to your neighbors, that's the moment you're finally free. You can treat money for what it is, a tool to build a life with more security and more freedom. You can be patient with it and let it do its quiet work. So if you take away nothing else from our little chat today, I want you to remember this simple mantra. Detach from proving you're successful. Detach from rushing the process. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And most importantly, detach from comparison. Someone else's journey has nothing to do with yours. Comparison will rob you of your joy, and it will definitely rob you of your returns. And so I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Be honest with yourself. Where's your biggest challenge? Is it the external stuff, that temptation to upgrade your car or your house every time you get a raise? Or is it the internal stuff, that feeling of pure panic when the market drops? Knowing your own weakness is the first step to building this superpower of detachment. I'd love to hear your thoughts.